thought, well, first of all, I want to just kind of mention something before I get into my lesson, my text. Satan is powerful. Satan is out to destroy and to kill every one of us, enable us up or whatever it takes. We got to remember, Satan is powerful. He's not just a fictitious being, he's real. And it tells us in the scripture, you will know about Satan, the roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour and all. But I said all that to say this. What my text is today, I want to keep in mind the reason we do things, and some may be mentally, some may not be, but keep in mind Satan's always looking and prowling and waiting to pounce upon us. So the thought today is about being depressed. Depressed. It don't matter if you're rich. It don't matter if you don't have no money at all and you're a street person. We all get down sometimes. I was talking to a man yesterday, I went and called his name, and we got talking about different ones that we knew that were real close friends, that they got so depressed they ended their lives. Good people, wonderful people, but they were depressed. Now, I know you can have a mental depression. You can be mentally, and you have to take. Some people have to take medicine for it. But depression. What is being depressed? Somebody tell me in your words what does the word depressed mean? Hopeless?
Downtrodden.
Huh? Downtrodden? Hopeless? Deleted? Dejected? All these, and I've mentioned that old song, man. They really, I don't even remember his name now, McFerrin or something. Anyways, he had that song on the Hee-Haw show, Gloom, Despair, Agony on Me, Deep Dark Depression, and he wrote a song about depression, and he must have knew something about it. But it's amazing. A survey, I don't know how accurate the survey was, and when they took the survey about America being depressed, being in a depressive state, 17 million a year miss work because of depression. 17 million, a lot of people. Now this was took way back when this survey was took, 17 million then, and tell what it is now. But people get depressed. When they miss work, 17 million, what does that do to productivity in a company or whatever? It goes down, down, down. At Christmas time, we have more domestic problems at Christmas time or on holidays than you do any time because people get depressed. You've seen them at Walmarts and Penny's or wherever, and around Christmas time, and people are just like a banjo string ready to break. And they're depressed. Am I getting the right gift for this one? Am I doing this? Me and my family, my husbands are drunk. All kinds of things will depress you and get you down. Well, who's behind all that? Satan. You remember I told you about Satan? He's behind all that. He is happy when he can destroy your life. And he'll do it anyway. But I want to look this morning, well, TV, all kinds of things that the world puts out there. It's in the economy. Jake right now is not getting any money at all because he works for the government. They'll eventually probably pay, but it's going. The government shut down right now, and it has never been shut down as long. Well, you can see in people's minds, that don't have a little bit saved back to live a day or two, how that could depress you. I mean,
because the bills keep coming.
The bills keep coming, don't it, Sister Chris? You can get down, but hopefully we're going to get into some good parts of all this directly. But all these things, you can horrible things are happening around the world. Things that it's probably going to get a little bit worse. than what we anticipated. But you got to go through some bad to get the good sometimes too. Don't get depressed. Let's see what some of the Bible says. It says about being depressed or downhearted or hopeless in your life. Who's some Bible characters that come to your mind? I'll give you first shot at it.
Jezebel's husband. I can't think of his name.
Who?
Jezebel's husband. Yeah.
Jezebel. All right. Turn to 1 Kings 18, and this is where just before. Well, just turn to 1 Kings 18, and we're going to look at verse 21. This is whenever Elijah he had a contest between the Baal servers and those that were idol worshippers and so forth, and there's a lot of things happening in the 19th chapter of Kings, 1 Kings 18:19. First of all, there was a battle put forth, and I'll just start right here. Well, it's a big area. I'll just tell it what happened. There was a contest, we call it, between Elijah and people, ungodly people serving Baal. And they did all these things. They built an altar, and there was the God that licked up the fire was the one true living God, and the one that didn't was serving Baal. And they did all kinds of things. They would cut themselves. They would holler out, "Oh, Baal, Baal, send fire down." And that Elijah done told me, he said, there was one true living God going to send the fire down. And they thought their God was going to do it. Well, you follow me? And they built an altar, and they put water in it, and they did this, and they did that, stacked wood, and they hollered, and old Elijah finally started mocking at them a little bit. Maybe you're not hollering loud enough. "Oh, Baal!" They got louder and louder and louder. And nothing happened. Well, noontime come, and nothing had happened. And Elijah, starting with verse 21, I believe it is, in 18th chapter, it says, and he answered, "I have not troubled Israel, but thou, thy father's house, hast forsaken the commandments, and hast followed Baal. Now therefore send and gather," verse 19, 18th chapter, "Now therefore send and gather me all Israel on Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 100, and which eat at Jezebel's table." Now, James mentioned about Jezebel, but he was wicked, and King Ahab was the king. Verse 21, it says, "Elijah came and all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. If he Baal, then follow him." And the people answered not a word. And Elijah said to the people, even I alone, a prophet, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Well, he was getting a little bit downhearted right there, because he thought he was the only one left to serve God. But and he said, they got 450 over here that serving Baal. So coming on down to the main part, verse 24 says, "And call on the name of your God, and I will call on the Lord, and the God that answers by fire. Let him be God of all." And answered and said, "It is well spoken." Verse 26, "And he took books and came and given to them, and they dressed it, and called the name of Baal morning until even noon, saying, O Baal, hear us." But coming right on down, you see the contest is going on. Over in the 19th chapter, whenever the power of God was shown in this contest, and it comes right on over to the 19th chapter of Kings, Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah. It says in verse 4, "But he himself went a day's journey in the wilderness and came and sat upon a juniper tree." Why was he sitting on a juniper tree? He was getting depressed, but now he had just seen the power of God coming down, lick up the wood, the water, and everything else. And now He went a day's journey in the wilderness and came and sat down on a juniper tree and requested himself that he might die. That's pretty well depressed, isn't it? All right, so there's one there. Elijah was so depressed he wanted to die. Do you ever get like that? I had never been to that point to wanting to die, but I've been depressed. When I was in service, I wanted to go home so bad. I was lonely. And that's all I could think about was Janice and Waycross. And I knew I couldn't go nowhere. I was a prisoner, basically. Because if I was one of them, well, they'd put me in jail. And, but you can get depressed just like that easily. So that's one. Anybody else want?
Jane was mentioning
Yeah.
Jezebel's husband
Ahab.
He couldn't get the vineyard that he wanted, so he went and got on bed, turned his back, and cried.
All that in that area, there's so many different ways you can go, but Ahab did do what David said, that he got in his bed and turned his head toward the wall and started pouting, and Jezebel, the wicked queen, come in there and said, "What's the matter, David?" They said, "Oh, that vineyard over there, Naboth's got." "Well, you don't worry about it. All right, let us forget it." He was happy then. He got it, didn't he? But thank God for people like Naboth that would not sell their inheritance. We have an inheritance. Every one of us has an inheritance. We're sons and daughters of God, and we have an inheritance, and we're not to sell out that inheritance. You follow me? And Naboth refused. Now, I know it was a physical vineyard, a natural vineyard that was put forth, so that you can apply it in a spiritual way too. You can sell out your inheritance, which is the kingdom of God. You cannot sell out your eternal inheritance. That was bought and paid for, and it's finished. But that's a good point about Ahab. Every one of these characters we try to look at this morning, and you can go on and on and on, but Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, we won't go to it, we'll just paraphrase it. And Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 17 through 23, Solomon had pools, he had women, he had maidens, he had servants, he had everything a man could desire. He had all kinds of things. But you know what he said? Well, turn to Ecclesiastes 2:17 through 23, Brother David. Read that. You think about that roaring lion saying, "Hey, it's all right. These ain't gonna bother you. You can get anything you want and be happy." No, the devil's putting that in their minds.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, beginning verse 17.
Yeah, and it goes through 23, and think about what Solomon said here.
Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yea, I hated all my labors which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall ye have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and great evil.
2 more verses.
For what hath man of all his labor and of all of his vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored unto the sun? For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief, yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity.
He tried all them things, the great works he did, gardens and servants and maidens and all them. Anything his eye saw, he desired it, he get it. And to make him happy, No, he was getting worse and worse. The more he was telling about all this, he says in verse 17, therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. All is vanity and vexation. He said, I hated life. There was nothing else there for me to have any desire to have or do. I just hate my life. And then verse 23 says, for all his days are sorrow and travail and grief. The heart taketh away, not rest in the night. This is all vanity. In other words, he becomes depressed. Huh? So you got Solomon was depressed. You got Job was certainly depressed, wasn't he? He said, well, I think in Job chapter 4 verse 3 he says, I'm weary and I don't feel right. I'm not doing right. He was just weary in what the way his life was going.
Wished he had never been born.
That's right. He said that now Job was a faithful man, but he loved God. He was in the hero of faith over in the 11th chapter of Hebrews. But he got down and he made that statement that he was weary. David himself, where in Psalm says, I am cast down. Why am I cast down, O my soul? Why is that disquieted in me? David said 3 times in that one Psalm over there that he said he was cast down 3 times. Elijah was cast down, depressed. Solomon was. David wrote many songs about being depressed. Asaph was depressed. He saw, all he could see was the wicked prospering in the world. That's what he saw. Until he went somewhere. Where did he go? He went to the sanctuary or the church of God. Then he understood therein, he said. But he was downcast. Everything that the wicked was doing was prospering in the world. And he says, I've done all this and I'm not getting anything out of it. Until he went to God's house. Well, that's where happiness was, wasn't it? So, Asaph, Job, Jonah certainly was depressed. He hated what was going on in his life. God told him to go to Nineveh, he went to Tarshish and got on the boat. And the Lord gave him a second chance, didn't he? He said, Jonah, I want you, but he still got angry. Even the Lord blessed him to eventually go in to preach to the Ninevites, and they got sackcloth and ashes and repented at that time, and they did later on they unrepented, I think you call it. But when the message Jonah sent to them that God gave him, and they repented. But Jonah was depressed, and he was under a tree, and he was angry because God spared Nineveh. Can you imagine that? They say you are doing wrong, Brother David, and I go up there and I start telling you the right way to do it, and you do it. Then I go out and get angry. Why did this happen? Why, God, did you give me a message like this? But that's the way God operates. He works in mysterious ways, trust me. But he was also in a depressed state.
I think Saul was depressed.
Saul.
He was jealous of David.
Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I got a bunch of them I'm not even going to touch, but some of the Psalms that tell us, especially about the harps, the hanging in the willow tree, you remember that? They were depressed. God's children was in captivity at this time in Psalm 73, and not Psalm 73, Psalm 137. He says they wept while in captivity. And they hung their harps upon the willow. They asked them to sing songs of old, and they wouldn't do it. They were downhearted. They felt hopeless, and they were dejected. But it says in David in Psalm 42, 1 through 11, if you want to read it later on, verse, especially 5, 6, and 11, he says, why are thou cast down? Doesn't mention it a while ago. Oh, my soul. do we get cast down? Certainly we do. Now, let's look at a couple things that's not so gloomy. Job got depressed. Solomon got depressed. David got depressed. On and on and on. Those that we have mentioned here that got depressed, but I want to mention one more before we go to what I'm going to say next about an anecdote of it. But in Numbers chapter 11, back up to Numbers chapter 11 and verse 11. Moses got depressed. We haven't mentioned Moses, have we?
No.
But David, I'm not reading Numbers, starting with Numbers chapter 11 and start with verse 11. Hold on a minute.
Machine getting like me, getting slow.
Who, me?
Me, my machine,
Oh,
getting like me. Start 11 and read how far?
yeah, this was when the children of Israel, they were complaining, and they wanted leeks and onions and all these other things back in Egypt. They said there wasn't no graves back in Egypt, and they were just mumbling and complaining, all the millions of them out there. And then it comes down that Moses, he just about at a breaking point. And start reading it. Well, verse 1 says, and when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and he heard it. And the anger was kindled, and the fire burnt. All right, then verse 11. But they,
And Moses said unto the Lord, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom as a nursing father beareth his suckling child, unto the land which thou swearest unto thy fathers. When should I have flesh to give unto these people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat. I'm not able to bear all this people alone, because it's too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me.
you hear that? Kill me. I can't handle it no more.
Out of hand I have found favor. I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
You see that? Moses said, Lord, kill me. I'm tired of these people complaining and murmuring and carrying on like they doing. And so Moses was thrown in the pile with Solomon and Job and all of them. So they was all depressed. Now, here's some antidotes for depression. What do I mean antidote? Something to
Fix it.
Fix it.
fix it, take it back. First of all, remember that lion that was out there? The devil? He's out to destroy you and depress you and make you have a hopeless state of being. But there's an antidote to all this. In Psalm 34:17 it says, the righteous, which is who? God's people. The righteous cry unto the Lord and hears and deliver them out of all their trouble. Does God deliver us out of trouble? Yeah. Peter 5:6, you know it well. Humble yourself, therefore, in the mighty hands of God, and he may exalt you in due time. God's going to lift you up out of all this depressive state. You just trust in him. And in Proverbs 3:5-6, you know it, trust the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Look to God, and you won't be depressed.
What was the one you said after Psalms 34:17?
1 Peter 5:6-7. It says over there, casting all your cares upon him, for he what? Cares for you. God cares for us. In 1 Peter 4:12, it's talking about suffering. We as God's children are going to suffer, but you're going to suffer for well-doing, or you're going to suffer for evil. But nevertheless, you're going to suffer. And you can go in a big territory with that. How the disciples suffered to death, or Jesus did, and so forth. But 1 Peter 4:12 says, beloved, think it not strange though the fiery trials and tribulations such things happen to you, but rejoice. Rejoice. For what? All these fiery trials? But rejoice in so much you are partakers of Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, you may be glad, also exceeding joy. Paul was mentioned several times in this, right here in sermons. Brother Billy's used it several times about how Paul was in prison and they sang songs and they weren't depressed. If you're singing a song and really coming from your heart about the Lord, where's depression going to go? It's going to go out the window, ain't it? So we need to sing and pray, and God will keep his promise that he'll take care of it. Let me just close with Corinthians 4:8. I think it sums up really talking about problems and situations that comes in your life, but God's going to be there to take care of you. It says in 2 Corinthians 4:8, says, we are troubled on every side. Well, we got troubles on every side? Yeah. Can you let it get you down? With troubles? Yeah. We're troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted. Have you ever been persecuted for Christ's sake? I have. You have. Can you let it get you down? Yeah. But it says you're persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Why? When you got trouble on every side, you cast down. You can't be cast down. Why? Because you're looking to the Lord. And I'd say sum it up with seek ye first kingdom, and everything else we took care of. We know eternal took care of. But if you seek God now, you can't be unhappy. You can't be destroyed. So anybody got anything you want to say?